Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360, Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. I'm your host, William Liu. I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong, who is going to carry us through this episode because Canada is playing their first game in the World Cup in over 30 years, and they're kicking off right as the show is kicking off. And, I'm going to do my best to focus on Toronto Raptors basketball, but between this game and also Yuta Watanabe's return to Toronto, although he's not going to be playing, there's no drops today from Derek either. I know he's also going to be locked in.
Yeah, Derek Brandale just let us know in our ears that he's quiet quitting for this hour. So
no, this is a big moment.
Listen, Will, I got you. If you want to watch, I can go on a monologue about basketball. Like nobody knows the league like me. And, Yuta Watanabe is out tonight, by the way.
Right. That hamstring issue.
Hamstring tightness. But that's not going to stop us from going to the arena and trying to track him down and finally get his number. I don't know if Nets PR was aware of that, but...
if they weren't aware that we would go harass him?
What up, Eli Pearlstein? Anyways, how do you feel about having to do a show during such a momentous moment in Canada's sports history?
Look, obviously,
say how you really feel.
We're pros, man. The Raptors are more important than anything, except for when the World Cup is on and also when the new Pokemon drops, which happens at the exact same time this time. No, but seriously, I think we have a great show planned. I've done a lot of research for this show.
Begging people to please watch?
No.
If you're listening live or watching live right now, just add us on Twitter. Just need to know, so there are people that don't watch soccer, I guess.
By the way, Canada's off to a great start. They're already inside of Belgium's box.
Yeah,
Belgium in the second minute here.
Belgium's got an aging back line, and Canada's got a lot of speed up front.
One player on Belgium.
So Kyle Lowren over everything today. So, anyways,
wow,
what do you want to do?
Let's talk about the Toronto Raptors. Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Raptors taking on the Nets tonight.
Yeah,
Scotty and Delano Banton are still questionable. So we should find out closer to the game. Precious and Pascal still out. Otto Porter Jr., Justin Champagny as well.
Since when are you questionable with a knee sprain?
What, you're not allowed to be questionable with a knee sprain?
No, I just mean that sounds a little bit more serious than not a questionable.
But who knows? What's been questionable is getting injury updates from the team.
Oh,
because a lot of times we'll hear Nick or the team be like, yeah, that did not look good, and then the next day, no, Delano's fine. Yeah,
right.
So. Well, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening, so I might, call out the org a couple times today for fun.
And, there actually might be a little bit of a theme to today's episode because one of the topics I know we will want to get to is Nick Nurse's recent comments on Gary Trent Jr.
Yes.
And I just did some digging, and, the call-out is definitely a go-to move. You know how Pascal spins? Nick Nurse calls out.
You know what? Let's just get to it.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So the most recent comments. So Nick Nurse was talking at practice, was asked about Gary Trent Jr., who has not been performing that well on the season. He's had good moments. There's no doubt about it. But also at the same time, there's been games where he hasn't been that impactful. Nick has also talked about the fact that, he's been dealing with the flu and he had a minor injury issue. So he hasn't necessarily been 100% physically. Right. And that might have, been a big factor here. But the quote that I think most people are kind of running with and also just really keying in on is that Nick Nurse said, quote, "It's disappointing in regards to Gary's defense this year." He said, quote, "We want him to be a disruptor. He kind of fits us if he does that. And if he doesn't fit us." Right. And he was talking about how Gary has been less disruptive defensively, which I don't think there's any doubt. Right. I don't think he's been as effective. I mean, last season when we were starting the year, Gary Trent Jr. was atop the league in both deflections and steals. He was top 5 in both of those for a long time. And while I would say that, he's probably one of the weaker defenders in the Raptors rotation, he was still, when you're one of the top leaders in steals, you're not bad at defense at that point. And then last season, he started well in defense. So this has created this big conversation about Gary Trent Jr. First off, actually, Alex, before we get to that, I just want to ask you, are you agreeing with that assessment? And also, what do you think Nick wants to get out of Gary, and what do you think is the intended response after you sort of bring something like this to the media?
Yeah, I think Nick's obviously had a history of doing this with players, and specifically with Gary. I thought Blake made a really good point yesterday about how there was already some slippage towards the end of the year. And I thought it was a really good point to point out because we were all there for Game 6 against the Sixers, and the season ended in the third quarter because the Sixers were just repeatedly hunting Gary, right? Mm-hmm. And James Harden was able to to kind of put the game away there in the third quarter. So, I don't think this is something that feels like it's come out of nowhere.
Right.
And that's the one thing, like, as we get into all these things that Nick's called out about players, I feel like every time he's done it, it's been a point that I think people are aware of. Like, it's never anything that I feel like we're not aware of, that suddenly he's got a gripe with a player. But it is an interesting style. I think he does want, I think the whole point of this is I think he just wants Gary to get back to be, maybe just having a little bit more focus on the defensive end. Like, it just feels like, we know what we're going to get from Gary, like, night to night in terms of, the offense and things like that. But, on defense, like, I don't know, like, you see guys like OG and these other players on the team having the impact. You just haven't felt that from Gary this year. Yeah. So, and it's interesting to me he's doing this as Gary is heading into he's in his contract year.
Yeah.
And he's heading into free agency. This would be surprising to me if this was the first time Nick did this.
Right.
But this is like a recurring theme of Nick just using this as a tactic to motivate players.
Yeah. And speaking of which, so I've created a Google document specifically for this.
Yeah, which you blame me originally for losing it.
No, I didn't blame you. Don't worry, we got it back.
You blamed me.
Okay, fine, I did.
Yeah.
By the way, nice suit today. I don't know why you're wearing that, but you look nice.
Yeah. No one's watching, so I can do whatever I want today.
Okay. So anyway, the Nick Nurse call out tracker, and if I missed some quotes, please people let me know. I definitely want to keep this as an updated tracker. So these are just the Nick Nurse call outs that I remember as him as a member of the Toronto Raptors head coach.
Okay, I'm gonna rate them. I'm gonna rate them as you go through them out of 10.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
feel about it.
November 2023, 2022, or November 23rd, 2022. Okay, this is the first one that I remember. Pascal Siakam back in 2019. All right, this is after the championship season. Pascal is your main guy here. He said, "Quote: Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been very smart. If you want me to be honest with you." Nurse told reporters after being asked if Siakam was finding it tough to be aggressive without fouling. Quote: Most of those have been fouls. He hasn't been very smart, if you ask me. Most of those have been fouls. Your rating out of 10.
Yeah, I like
10
that.
being like you're really going at a guy, and 0 being like,
oh, okay,
whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. That's a 5 for me.
That's a 5.
That's a 5 to me. He's just pointing out. He's just telling one of his guys to stop fouling, and I think that's fair.
Okay.
Because Pascal was going through a stretch where he was like 4 or 5 fouls deep.
Yes.
Like at the end of every game, and I don't got the numbers in front of me. Surprise, but I think that call out did have like a positive impact.
Yes, I agree. Okay, that's why I'm saying 5 is actually a little high for me. All right, next one. This is happened in September of 2020.
By the way,
2019.
friend of the program, Holly McKenzie, just wants you to know that you're constantly looking at the TV.
Oh, well, everyone knows what's going on here. By the way, Canada had a couple chances in the box already.
Live update.
Pretty promising start for them. Anyway, let's go back to this Nick Nurse call out tracker. Okay, so Pascal Siakam, that's number
Can't
one.
focus.
Stanley Johnson and Rondae Hollis Jefferson. This is back in 2019.
Oh man,
okay?
I love this one.
Quote: He says those guys have not understood A, how hard we play, B, our schemes, that defense is a priority for them, and etc. All right, we've got to work. We got some work to do with that crew.
I love this one. In terms of call out, let's say like a 9 out of 10. This is like if you came to Sportsnet and 2 weeks in, like after doing. No,
that's a handball. Wow. Canada should be for a penalty there.
Live update. So
they're at VAR right now.
So this is like after you do 5 warm-up shows, and here at Sportsnet, and Dan Tolman and Ryan Favreau sits you down.
Yeah.
But no, they do a press conference on Sportsnet YouTube, and they're like, "Yeah, Will doesn't really get what we're trying to do here." That is the equivalent.
Penalty.
So
let's go. All
penalty
right.
Canada live updates.
All right, we'll see. Okay. Anyway, so rating out of 10 though?
9.
That's a 9. I agree with you. That was a 9. All right.
That's my personal favorite, by the way.
That one is great.
How do you bring 2 guys into the squad?
Yeah.
And I get you're like coming off a championship, all of that. But that was a call out in like preseason.
Yeah, that was preseason.
That was a preseason call out.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, my favorite thing about that too is I think the question that prompted that answer was like, "Hey Nick, these guys came in from Brooklyn, from Detroit as defensive stoppers," and then he kind of cut them off, and he's like, "Not for us, not for us. They're not defensive stoppers.
Hey, I remember
they don't
Rondae
understand the scheme or how hard we play."
Hey, I remember Rondae slapping the floor as he was guarding Kawhi.
Okay, well, yeah, he forced Kawhi into like 7 turnovers that day. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, next up on the list as Alphonso Davies squares himself to take the penalty.
By the way, producer Derek
Thibaut
Brandel
Courtois.
is literally standing right now.
I think his screen is slightly ahead of mine, so I think he'll know the
Okay,
reaction.
let's not look at Derek.
Okay.
Live updates.
Well, they're taking a long time with this penalty. Next quote from Terrence Davis. All right. Nick Nurse says, quote, "He's not playing well. right? And then after a game where Davis had only played 8 minutes, Nick Nurse said, quote, it was probably 5 too many. So Terrence Davis being limited to 8 minutes, and then Nick Nurse saying he probably played 5 too many.
Okay, that's also a 9 out of 10 for me. Oh my God,
it was saved. It was saved. Oh my God, the rebound was. You know what? Courtois is very tough. He's a very tough keeper. As a Liverpool supporter, I know how that feels. But damn, that sucks. There's distraught in the background. Anyway, so yeah, Terrence Davis playing 8 minutes.
Davis. Yeah, what's up?
Nick Nurse saying that's 5 too many. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a 9 out of 10 too.
Yeah,
that's like Blake Murphy coming on a Tuesday show.
Yeah,
and Dan Tillman after being like that was one segment too many.
Yeah, damn. Okay. By the way, the context here is Terrence Davis the next game had like 30 something.
Oh, okay. So it worked.
Oh, this one worked. This one definitely worked.
Okay. Do we give Nick credit for these things working out?
Well, we'll you know what? We'll come back to that thought because there are more quotes here. All right. This is about Matt Thomas, 2020 quote. You've got to understand. You've got to play both ends.
Oh God. Oh man, that one's a dagger. Yo, that's a Kevin Harlan dagger, man. Right between the eyes. Oh man. Yeah, that's a 10 out of 10.
That's a 10 out of 10.
That's a 9.9 out of 10, man.
Wow.
That's a 99 out of 10.
99%, man.
You know what?
Oh.
But again, it just goes back to the fact like I haven't heard one statement yet that's not true.
Okay. Yeah, you're
right.
You're right.
Like I haven't heard one thing that doesn't make sense. So
okay.
That hurts though.
Next one.
Why can't you just say these things privately? But
Norm Powell, 2021. These are all these are to the media, right? Obviously, these aren't scoops. Nick Nurse said, quote, Norm hasn't gotten on track, really, at all. Let's be honest. Norm hasn't shown anything in the preseason or the regular season.
Oh, my God.
This is back in when they went to Tampa and Norm was really slow to start the year.
Yeah. I'm going to go like a 6, 7 out of 10. I feel like Nick was just probably feeling, some type of way because they had to live in Tampa for the year and stuff. And he just kind of let that. Because, like, how can you tell
Nick was living out the Marriott and telling Norm in 5 doors down in 5'10" that he's got to play some defense.
Like, how can you say somebody hasn't done anything so far in the regular season?
He said preseason or the regular season.
He says he's been putting up Tony Snell graphics.
I mean, to be honest, Norm did have some up and down moments. We kind of forget this now.
This one feels a little bit extreme to me.
Okay, all right. Next one, Chris Boucher. This is 2021. Quote, he needs to start playing better, period. And follow up after Nick was asked, hey, is there too much up and down from Chris Boucher? Nick said, quote, I don't see any up.
Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, this one also like a 9 out of 10. But you know what?
Yo, honestly, Nick is such a good quote, man. I'm sorry. As a member of the media, I actually got to say, I'm just thank you to Nick Nurse for putting this material out.
I think this is the thing, too. I don't know if you agree with me, but it just, to me, all these quotes show me just how much power and like pull Nick has.
Right, because you're saying most coaches wouldn't be comfortable enough to make all these
comments. It's very easy to lose the locker room these days in terms of you only need one star player on the team to tune you out, and it's going to be a change, right?
Well, we haven't even covered the Pascal incident.
Yeah, but
that was a different thing. That was a temporary one-time thing. It really, it got blown up.
Anytime you hear me talking for more than 2 minutes on the show, it's because I'm trying to let Will watch as Canada's in the attacking zone.
Yo, but Canada's been playing great.
I think in general,
really need to convert that penalty.
I think in general, it does show that whatever alignment he has with like Bobby and Masai, like he feels empowered enough to do these things.
Right. So anyway, your final verdict on Nick Nurse saying if there's been too much up and down from Chris Boucher and him saying, quote, I don't see any up.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8 out of 10 on that one.
By the way, that one also worked. Chris Boucher really turned his season around. Yeah, we've covered that on the show many times.
I'm going to give Chris credit for that.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean?
Well, you always got to give the players credit. The coach really just says things.
No, like I'm giving Chris the credit for that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next one, Malachi Flynn, 2022. Quote, listen, we've given him some shots early in the season. We gave him some chances, and he just really didn't look like he was ready to go. He wasn't impacting. He wasn't making shots. Wasn't playing what I thought we needed. The Nick Nurse on Malachi Flynn. This is in March of last year or last season.
Yeah, this is kind of mid compared to some of the other ones.
Oh, okay.
So it's very general. So I'm gonna go with 6 out of 10 on this one.
All right.
Man, he has called out everybody.
Oh, speaking of which, Precious Achiuwa earlier this month.
Oh my God, yeah.
The same month, he said, "quote He needs to play better." And I don't have the full quotes here, but we were both at that press conference. He talked about him being inconsistent.
Here's the context. Here's the context. Watch soccer. Here's the context. So we go in pregame, And there's a question just about, Precious's play, and unprompted, Nick told everyone that he sat down for a film study earlier in the day just to go through Precious's mistakes so far this season, and basically just saying that he had high expectations for him during the offseason. If people remember, Nick did an interview in the summer and specifically said that Precious was the one player that he was most excited about because of all the work in the summer.
And he said this in Hungary.
Oh, yeah. How hungry are you?
That's literally what the people were asking him there.
So, obviously a disappointing start for Precious, and then unprompted, Nick just said all these things.
Yes.
That's the context. Yeah.
Yes.
So
out of nowhere. This one out of nowhere.
And,
it was out of nowhere.
Precious
You're right.
didn't have a great game that night. Obviously got injured.
Yeah.
So that one is TBD.
Yeah.
But,
and then this latest one on Gary Trent Jr. It's disappointing. We want him to be a disruptor. He kind of fits us if he does that, and if he doesn't fit us.
Yeah. I mean, you pointed this out yesterday too. This is the classic LeBron fit in or fit out tweet to Kevin Love.
You know what? The one thing I will respect is Nick is very blunt. And actually, when you go through this history of his callouts, every single one of them are about defense.
Yeah, and it's
always you guys aren't defending well enough, or there's not enough attention paid to the defense, or and for a coach, like, I think you do need non-negotiables.
Yeah, this is your favorite word this year, by the way.
Yeah, it's non-negotiable that you play defense for the Toronto Raptors. If you don't play defense, you don't play. There better be like 5 injuries at once, like right now, for you to get a chance to play if you're not going to play defense. But for Nick, you need to defend for him to give you minutes. And I think he's pretty clear to them about that. I think he communicates that directly to the players. But then again, he also communicates that very directly to people in the media. So people, whether it's media or fans, can like track what's going on. And I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? Like, is that the kind of style of coaching or leadership that you will respond to? Is that something you respect?
Me personally, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, so I shouldn't call you out on air for never being here on Tuesdays.
As someone, as someone who thinks highly of himself, I can't be taking criticism like that from other people, especially publicly. But if you were to ask it in terms of these players, I think it's a very individual case, like, to be honest, right? Like, you talk about how I would respond to this, how you would respond to this. I think it's the same for the players. Like, how would Gary respond to this versus how Chris would take the criticism, or Precious, right? Which is why I think, I don't think it's like a dangerous thing or a risky thing to do. But at the same time, when you're putting this stuff out there, I mean, players are going to feel a certain way about it, right?
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, like, we only see the one side of it. So, like, when you see Nick call out Precious, if he didn't tell us, we wouldn't know that they had actually sat down and talked about it. So it's not like, I don't think any of these things ever comes as a surprise to the players, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't
and
think
it shouldn't be, by the way. This shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You should not, like, deliver a message through the media. You can deliver the message and then repeat that message to the media, but delivering it straight to the media without telling the player, I think, is generally not a good move as a coach of any team, to be honest.
Yeah. And
they got to foul De Bruyne here, man. Please foul him.
And it's interesting too, because on the flip side, last week, don't worry, bro, I got you.
Yeah.
Last week, when Scotty was going through his struggles and that became the main topic, when Nick was asked about it, like, he didn't take the opportunity to be critical. He said that, I love that kid. I think everything that he's doing, he's playing great right now, Cap. And it's just, so there's different approaches. Right? So, like, I think we do point out all, like you did, like, all the times he's called them out. But on the rare occasion too, like, he's used the media and used the public to prop up a player, right? To encourage.
Oh, yeah. By the way, for every, like, negative Nick quote,
okay, I wouldn't say it's
probably
one-to-one, though.
10.
There's
probably like 10 positive quotes
Yeah.
about each guy.
I'm just saying,
You know
if
what I
I were to ask you right now on the spot to tell me another head coach in the league that uses this as a motivational tactic, like, can you think of another one?
This is, by my count, 10 different players.
But can you even think of another coach?
I mean, probably. I feel like Ime Udoka was doing this last year with the Celtics, and people liked it. My thing is also just, like, you have to hold everyone accountable too, right? And again, like, this is an incomplete record. It's a little bit harder to research these things, and so mostly I was just searching Nick Nurse calls out, and then the players, and then whatever results pop up. Like,
if Derek wasn't watching soccer, he would have done their names are drop. But it's all good.
Don't
it's
put
all good,
expectations
Derek.
on him, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is an incomplete
Their names
record.
are.
However, I
Now he's
really
clocked out.
did buy some time here while Belgium's in possession at the back.
Shouts to Derek.
But like, there is no quote here about Kyle Lowry. There's no quote here about Fred VanVleet.
Yes.
There's no quote here about OG Anunoby.
This,
There's
okay,
no
this is
quote
the
here
other.
about Mark,
This is the other point.
Serge,
Yes, this is the other
Kawhi,
point I wanted
Danny.
to make. This is the other point I wanted to make is that Nick came in as a head coach in probably like the most blessed scenario for a first-year head coach in terms of having a veteran team, in terms of having these guys that he doesn't need to have these conversations with. He doesn't need to have these conversations with a Marc Gasol. With a
Imagine
Serge.
calling on Marc Gasol, being like, "Hey, Mark,
He needs
you're
to
too unselfish."
he needs to shave his head. But so I think that's the gift and the curse for Nick too, is that he saw what a championship team is like, and he saw what a roster full of vets who are accountable and don't need this type of stuff is like. And it's a transition for Nick too, right?
Yeah.
Like for Nick, as the roster has turned over, as the team has gotten younger, he's dealing with a different group of players. And I think that's why you've seen this trend. So,
Yeah, that's fair. We really got through the first segment just by talking about Nick Nurse's callouts.
this is why I always tell you about the show, man. You prep like 1 or 2 topics is all good.
Wow.
Right? Because then I'm going to tell you about how yesterday I went to Tuesday Ball.
Oh, yeah, please go ahead.
And, I was freaking out because we went for wings after, at Wheat Chief, on
Oldest
King
bar
Street.
in Toronto, I think.
Yes,
That's what they
yes,
like to
the
publish
institution. Used to be
themselves
50% off wings on Tuesday, but no more. So
Oh, brother, here we go again. How about those movie ticket prices, Actually, I went yesterday because it was Tuesday. It was half off.
did you use the Cineplex gift card that listener Brenda gave
I
us
actually
at
did
Mark
not
Saval's wedding?
locate it in time.
Oh, okay.
But, it's somewhere in the
What
house,
film
and I
did
appreciate it.
What film did you watch?
I watched The Menu.
I don't think I've heard of this. I'm not familiar with this.
It's like a dark comedy, kind of a satire thing about just
you know
like
what?
fine dining and stuff. I thought it was funny, but it was also like kind of like
This is not the
very
one
on
that turns
nose.
into a horror movie, right?
Yeah, but you're never
Okay.
actually horrified, and it's actually mostly just kind of funny. It's kind of like if Get Out was about rich people in restaurants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And not as good as Get Out, by the way. Just to be very clear.
shouts to my guys, Vic, Trevor, obviously, who
Right.
showed up in a paisley suit, by the way, and I had to explain to him that you don't know what paisley is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just keep watching soccer.
Okay.
And shouts to my guy Mike, because I thought I lost my wallet when we went to pay at the end, and I was being accused of pulling a tactic of not paying.
That's wild. Because
Yeah.
I mean, you just readily not pay
Yeah,
with or without
like,
the wallet.
Yeah,
so
like there's no shame in that. But
Yeah,
anyways,
exactly.
I did
That's-
locate my wallet and I sent the e-transfer.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Anyways, I wanted
Oh
to
my
bring
God,
back.
Belgium on the break.
Wanted
here.
to
The
bring back.
cutback.
Yeah, just keep watching. I
Oh
got you,
my
bro.
God.
I'll talk for the next 2 minutes.
No. Oh,
So I wanted
big
to
block.
bring back voicemails too in time for the holidays. I was
Let's do
thinking
it.
about this yesterday. So I want to hear about listeners, your favorite birthday gift or Christmas gift that you've ever received. If you could
Okay.
tell me about that. Voicemail is 416-413-4141. You'll hear a greeting from Will, and I'm the only one that, you recorded this last
I don't
year.
remember this at all.
And I'm the only one that gets to hear these voicemails because last year a lot of people called in and took like 2-3 attempts to actually record a proper voicemail. So if you do that, it's all good. Or you can email me at info@stevenlebron.com. We'll read or play some of them either on the regular program or on the banter pod. Just want to hear stories about favorite gifts that you've ever received, birthday or Christmas. And, shouts to ourselves, shouts to our live event with Chris Boucher. That's taking place on December 12th. I can say now, without lying, there's actually only 10 tickets left. So willu.eventbrite.ca. We've been able to raise around $7,000 for Chris's charity,
That's amazing.
the Slim Duck Foundation. But I think there's room for us to, I'll figure out. Maybe we'll open the venue up a little bit more because I know there's a bit of room. But we have to take care of our A-list guest list as well. But
Right.
anyways, willu.eventbrite.ca. And the other thing, Derek.
Actually, you know
Is
what?
that
Real quickly before we go on to the next thing.
no, wait. What's up?
For the voicemails, so you want to hear about presents and
Yeah.
basically presents. I also want to hear about how people were feeling when they turned 30. when they listened to
Oh,
the
okay,
show.
okay.
'Cause,
Second topic. Okay.
Your boy is turning 30 in
Yeah.
about a month.
I mean, you could
and,
just ask
I'm
me.
having some conflicted feelings about
Yeah,
it.
you could just we'll banter pod about this. But yes,
This is a banter pod topic.
let Will know what it's like to turn 30.
Yeah.
What
Did
are the
anything
biggest
change for you?
Yeah, what are the
How
biggest
you felt leading up
differences
to
from like
it?
20s and 30s? Do you think 30s are better than 20s? Anything that you want to say on the topic?
Give me
'Cause-
your advice
Yeah.
on what life is like in the
yeah,
30s.
advice. Again, I'm right here.
You're in your 30s?
I know I'm not a model of a human being. But
You are dressed like
can
the
ask
guy
me.
from Squid Game before he went on Squid Game. By the way, can I just say that very clearly? You look like you're about to gamble away a birthday
Oh
gift
my
and buy your
god.
daughter
Voicemail
a gun lighter.
416-413-4141. Or if you feel more comfortable emailing info@stephenlebron.com. But the last thing before we go to break, Japan upset Germany earlier
Big upset.
today.
Big
And I
upset.
know Derek's got the clip from Monday when I made the prediction. Group E, my surprise, Japan. Japan and Spain. Germany doesn't make it.
Wow.
Yep,
Okay.
that's right. That's right.
Wow.
Go talk.
Name one Japanese player.
Group F.
So Group F, not a Japanese player. But can you name? But after
was a
watching that
bad
game
edit,
today,
man.
though, having watched the game today, though, did you remember any of the Japanese players?
Brother, I woke up at noon, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
All
saw
right.
the result.
Damn.
So, shout out to Japan. Some good upsets so far,
Yeah,
Been fun.
Saudi Arabia upsetting.
Yeah, that's my sleeper
Argentina.
team. Yeah, that was my sleeper team.
Was it?
Yeah, that was fun.
Damn.
Japan as well. All right, man. Let's take this break.
We're gonna take this break. I've been your host, Willu. That's Alex Wong. You're listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Go Canada. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wim Liu. It's Alex Wong. During the 5-minute break, Canada was not able to get that first goal. However, they have been applying that pressure towards Belgium's old back line and, some pretty good chances. So we'll keep you updated. But in the meantime, Alex, what do we have prepared for the second half of the show as Canada gets out of a jam there with Michi Batshuayi applying pressure to Canada's also, a little bit shaky back line?
Live updates. Yeah, shout out to my guy John, by the way. I know he put a sizable bet on Canada, so can't be feeling good about that.
Bet on yourself, man.
That missed penalty. Just don't bet anything, John, please. No, but shouts to John. Yeah, so the Raptors are taking on the Nets tonight. And like we mentioned, unfortunately, Yuta Watanabe will not be in the lineup, which, I was wondering too. You think Utah deserves a tribute video? Where do we draw the line at? Because
tribute video,
is tribute a wrong word?
Name 5 Utah plays right now. You and I are big Utah fans. Name
Blocking
5 Utah
Dylan
plays.
Brooks.
Okay, yeah, that should be on there. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's go
no
back
offense,
and
no
forth.
offense, but
Yeah. Derek said when he wore the headband.
Right.
Yeah.
Which he's still wearing.
Listen, I'm not trying to take away. Like, Utah was a part of the team for, 2 seasons and a fan favorite. No video?
No.
You're saying no on the video?
No.
All right.
No, I mean, look, listen, I would love it personally.
Takashi, aggregate him. Yeah.
No, don't do this, man.
Yeah. Let Japan.
Congrats to Japan on the big upset over
Let
Germany.
the fans in Japan know that Will doesn't care about Utah anymore. I was
I don't know
thinking.
if you want to just continue
Derek's back.
I think China-Japan relations are tough enough as it is.
Oh God. So I was thinking too, in terms of players in like the post championship era, where the Raptors have been trying to find guys for the bench and like trying to fill out the roster, right?
Right.
I was trying to think of guys that you actually would regret, that you regret the Raptors letting go, like now that they're in a different place, right? Because I know a lot of people talking about the way Utah is, leading the league in threes this year. Looks like a different player. The 2 other guys that came up with were O'Shea Brissett in Indiana, and how about Campaign as a backup point guard in Toronto right now?
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix actually low-key has 2 of those guys. I feel like Ish Wainwright was also a decent player.
Oh, that's right.
I saw him. He had a big block during the fourth quarter as Phoenix closed out the Lakers last night. He hasn't been playing that much, but still, like, I thought he was just a good dude. I still remember that interview that we did through Zoom during Summer League, and he really broke down and talked about how much the chance to get into the NBA meant to him. He had been playing, I think, in France at that point. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that kind of covers it. It's not like the Raptors have let that much talent go in terms of like, not capitalizing or not like developing or keeping their own guys. But at the same time, like, that's kind of the nature of having pretty good scouting and, just management across the league, is you bring in these talented players that other organizations will want to take on. Like, I remember for a long period for the Raptors, like, Toronto was the place for a lot of players to end their careers. Like a lot of players who used to be good got traded to Toronto as some sort of like weird salary dump or whatever, and they just don't get another contract from there, or if they do, it's like a 1-year deal, and now you're seeing it, players from Toronto continuously getting, bigger deals, and there's so many ex-Raptors. Every time you play a team in the league, you see some ex-Raptors on that team, right? You play Miami, you see Kyle, obviously, right? You play, like, even play Washington, you probably see DeLon Wright. You play the Spurs, you see, Jakob Poeltl, obviously Kawhi and Serge, and yeah, I mean, Utah, I guess, is added to that list. But I think that's just what happens when you have good management. The thing is, you can't keep all of them, but at the same time, like, you do wish them well. And yeah, I think in Utah's case, like, it's good that he's dealing with he's making the most of his opportunity. I think what Nick said at practice, again, Nick is just a little bit blunt at practice the other day. He also said, the reality was Utah was just never healthy. It took him a really long time to get rhythm.
Yeah, I don't know if that's blunt.
Okay, that's
just
fair.
being honest about it, right?
I know, blunt honesty and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, that's the whole thing. And he's been healthy now. He's gotten some confidence, which is great. I think Utah is, just in my experience, it just feels like he just seems like he might lack a little bit of confidence, in the sense that, like, like NBA players are almost all overconfident. But in Utah's case, he was one of the more, like, I wouldn't even say humble. I would just say, like, underconfident. Like, it was not even humble in the sense that, like, it's a good thing. It was like underconfidence, as in he wasn't taking shots.
Well, this was an actual topic. I think Utah was telling telling reporters here when it, about how Nick was always encouraging him to shoot more, and Nick would talk about the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I was watching a little bit of the Nets Sixers game yesterday, and they lost at Philly. Ben Simmons' return was the big storyline. Philly was without Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey, and still came out with the victory. The Nets are 8-10 right now. They've already gone through like several iterations of their team, with Steve Nash coaching them, and then with Kyrie suspended, Jacques Vaughn coming in, and now Kyrie's back. I don't know, man. It's just like Kevin Durant's having a really good season, and I know Ben Simmons has been playing better of late, but like, I don't know. This just seems like I just can't take them seriously at a level where I think like they're gonna be able to pull it together and be like a top 4 team and a contender.
No, there's ups and downs with this team. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, like, I think they have been playing better basketball of late. I think they've gone definitely a more composed effort out of them defensively. And I think when it's just KD in there, the focus is pretty clear. The game plan's pretty clear. Obviously, KD's going to have it. He's going to attack. When he draws double teams, they're moving the ball really well. I think Royce O'Neal has been a nice piece for them. He's moved the ball really nicely and just been a big glue guy. Obviously, Raptor fans know Royce from him hitting the game-clinching 3 when the Raptors lost to them earlier this year. And so that's another penalty. Please, ref, call that. No, okay, no VAR. Let's put the VAR on there.
Live update.
Okay. Anyway,
shouts to Atiba Hutchinson.
Shouts to Atiba
after
Hutchinson.
90+ caps with Team Canada, finally here.
Who do you think is older, you or Atiba Hutchinson?
I think I am. I'm 38.1.
38.1.
What's
Atiba's 39.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somewhat older than you at the World Cup, man, and he playing well too.
Damn, how old is Messi?
He's
35, not like okay.
I think Lionel Messi. Anyway,
welcome to the Raptors Show.
Messi
with Will
is
Lou.
35. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to your point about Royce O'Neal.
Oh yeah. So no, they're playing better. Seth Curry is obviously knocking out every 3. I think him and Patty Mills together in the backcourt. Honestly, this is a game. I mean, I guess they'll have to use Malachi anyway, just because of injuries. But they should really try to use Malachi in these matchups where he can have a smaller guard to defend. I think he's actually decent going around screens and stuff like that. But more importantly, like, they're not going to be able to attack him as much. You know what I mean? So we're just waiting for the ref to go check VAR again and confirm that that's another foul, because you should go look at the board, ref. Go look at the board, man. Anyway, but yeah, the Nets are playing better, and I expect a tough game here tonight.
Yeah, same. Kevin Durant always plays good against the Raptors too. That is
his favorite childhood team.
That is the other thing. Yeah, I was thinking too. We talk about rivals. I think on Monday we were talking about how like the Raptors don't really have an A list of like villains. We've got the Caleb Martin types.
Yeah.
But I was thinking in terms
Caleb
of
Martin's
teams,
like an indie movie villain. You know what I mean? He's not a real villain.
He's
an
A24 star.
He's like Elijah Wood in Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Like, it's a real indie villain.
That's a great movie, man. Go talk.
Legit, man.
But I was thinking about teams, and I think this topic comes up a lot of who the Raptors are rivals with, and I really think it's the Nets. It's the Nets franchise, because the Raptors really have a long history with the Nets, and one of the things we were originally planning on doing until James Herbert of Brooklyn had U.S. Thanksgiving plans and such was to draft.
This man's Canadian.
Was to draft.
What are you thankful for right now?
Was to draft.
You're Canadian, man. That was last month.
Was to draft our all-time favorite like Raps Nets moments, because I started to think about it, and there was a lot, but since those plans went sideways, I just put all these all-time moments into like the 5 tiers.
Okay, yeah.
In terms of like tier 1 to 5. And before we even get to those, here's 5 notable players who have played for both teams. Andrea Bargnani.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct.
Chris Childs. Do you remember Chris Childs?
He 2-piece Kobe.
Oh my God. He's also at the end of the Raptors Pistons series, if you saw that. He thought they were down 3, but they were down 2. So he put up a 3-point shot when he could have. Anyways,
he was just trying to go for the win, man.
Oh, man.
That's tough.
Rondae Hollis Jefferson?
Yes, of course. Who could forget Rondae, man? He had, honestly, I'm not even saying this in a pejorative way. He just had the dancing videos of the Nets back before KD and Kyrie got there were just legendary.
Yes, and also Rondae's best moment as a Raptor off the court was when he went on IG and went on a rant about why dinosaurs exist or not.
I thought it was
wasn't it that?
What about don't touch Rondae Hollis Jefferson's head?
Oh, right.
Remember
right,
Norm
right.
came over and took his hat.
Oh, yeah.
And he was
there
like
was
dead
that as
serious.
well.
And he was like,
Yeah. And then there was one time he lost his wallet and was able to crowdsource on Twitter and get it back.
yeah. Rondé,
Anyways.
man of the people, Rondé
Yeah, man
Hollis
of the people.
Jefferson.
Chris-
Also with one of the deepest pick and rolls ever, where Kyle Lowry used to set his. So Rondé would have the ball at the 3-point line, dribbling at the middle. Kyle Lowry would set a screen like both, like the
And then
like,
both
the restricted
defenders
area,
would back up into the paint. Amazing play.
Yeah. It actually worked like half the time. It's one of the more creative ones that Nick has gone to.
They used it twice and it worked once. Chris Humphries and also our guy Jeremy Lin. Shouts to Jeremy.
Yes, shouts to Jeremy.
Anyway, so tier 1 of Raptors Nets all-time moments has to be the Vince Carter trade. Got to put that in tier 1.
Yeah.
I mean, such a game-changing moment for both franchises. Well, not so great for the Raptors.
Okay, Alex, can you explain to me? Because like I was like probably like I don't know 9 or 10 years old at that point, so I don't understand like the cap machinations at that time. But why did the Raptors only get Eric Williams, Aaron Williams, and like 2 first-round picks for Vince Carter, who was still in his 20s?
Yeah, to this day, I honestly couldn't tell you.
Like, you tell me there wasn't a better deal than that?
There was rumors at the time that Sharif Abdur-Rahim might have been available.
Okay.
I think there was a thought to just, I don't know. They got a couple of draft picks out of it, I think. One of them turned into Joey Graham. It was just not a good trade. I can't explain it to you.
Yeah.
It was just not a good trade. And when we've heard Vince revisit it like over the years, he's said that he doesn't, towards the end, he went to the Raptors and said he didn't want to get traded. But I don't know. It's hard for me to believe any versions of those stories. But that's obviously tier 1. Tier 1 for me, too, is the Nets Raptors Game 7 from 2014.
Yep. Kyle Lowry splits the double, only for Paul Pierce to be there because of the fact that Dwayne Casey drew the play up on the wrong side of the floor.
The Terrence Ross steal was like amazing.
Yo, that was incredible.
Yeah, that's such an incredible moment. And I'm thinking now, that's 8 years ago. So you were like 22 at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So that must have been like
how long ago that
seminal
was?
moment for you.
Rob Ford was in the crowd for one of those games in the playoff series. And I saw him walking up to the arena pregame. I might have snapped a photo with him.
People have unearthed that photo.
People have unearthed that photo, and my only thing that I would like to say in my own defense is that I'm also from Etobicoke, and that was like royalty. And, oh my God, what a finish!
Belgium.
That's so tough.
Belgium
is that offside?
just scored.
Please say that's offside.
Belgium
All I see is
scored.
Michi Batshuayi dancing and saluting the crowd. Come on, that's so disappointing.
Sports is not fair, man.
Yeah, you're right. Soccer is a cruel sport.
Soccer is a very cruel sport.
Anyway, basketball.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Will's really upset right now.
That's fine.
Tier 2. I can't do this.
Nah, tier 2 is when they score again, man. I'm gonna draw another tier.
Tier 2 was when Vince came back. He had that. He drew that technical foul on Mo Pete. Had like that game winner.
Well, no, he didn't just draw the foul on Mo Pete. All right, he playfully slapped Mo Pete in the face because they're friends, and then Mo slapped him back because they're friends. And the ref only saw that second part and decided to just eject him.
Yeah, thankfully we have reviews now.
Yes, thankfully we have reviews
to have
now.
These things.
Video technology didn't exist in 2020 or 2005 or whatever.
It's like,
it was.
and now Tony Brothers is gonna check the VCR. And also the year that the Raptors went to the playoffs in, I think it's 2007 when they lost in the first round to Vince. This was This was when they handed out, I think they handed like red shirts for the home game, but then the Nets were wearing red. And this was when Sam Mitchell drew up a play. It was supposed to be a lob to Chris Bosh, and that got intercepted. And that
Richard Jefferson.
Yep, Richard Jefferson. Richard Jefferson low-key was a villain during that era.
Hey, Richard Jefferson looks like a villain.
Yeah, no, shouts to Richard though. Yeah, that would be my tier 2. Tier 3, obviously the Masai rant against Brooklyn, the F Brooklyn.
Right.
And you know what? I'll put the Raptors beating the New Jersey Nets on opening night in their first ever regular season game.
Yeah,
in '95. Yo, if you could name one Nets player from that team.
Okay, 1985.
I'll give you $2 to go to Rabo with.
One Nets player.
Yeah, for $2.
Keith Van Horn.
No, man. Okay, I'll give you 2 more chances. That's later. Van Horn's later.
Okay.
2 more chances.
Kerry Kittles.
No, that's also later. You got to go a little back.
What would be a little back? Who was on that team?
Come on, man, for $2. You're letting this toonie slip away, man.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know. Those are some
Kenny Anderson?
Sure, yeah.
Derek Coleman?
Yeah.
Kenny Anderson also part of Raptors history.
Again, man, I was like I wasn't even born. I was 3 years old. How would I know who these people are?
Next time Alvin Williams comes on, ask him about Kenny Anderson. Because he came in the
Why?
same trade.
Was he the Caleb Martin of his era?
No, he came in the same trade when Damon went to Portland. And he was the first player to just not report. And then they had to flip him to Boston for Chauncey Billups.
Why didn't we just hold on to Chauncey? I guess Chauncey wasn't like, I guess he did bounce around a little bit.
He was not Chauncey Billups.
But yeah.
Yet. Tier 4 is getting to the fun stuff now, as in the Raptors sweeping the Nets in the bubble.
Oh,
sweeping
Chris
Chiozza.
Yes.
Yeah.
I made the Chiozza joke like 10 times in the React pods because there's nothing else to do.
Can you tell me the top 3 scores on the Nets in that series?
The top 3. Okay.
Yeah, so in total points.
So it's not going to be Joe Harris. Joe Harris.
Joe House. This guy said, and now Pearl Jam.
Sorry. Every time I look at him, I'm like, that's Joe House.
Deep podcast jokes.
Yeah, seriously. What am I doing here? I can't believe Canada just missed that opportunity.
I know.
Right there.
You've been
Great
zoned
cross.
out for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's all
fine.
good.
Fine.
Shouts to the YouTubers. Shouts to the Illuminati. Can you name me the 3? If you even get one, I'll give you $2. Actually, you'll get one.
Karis LeVert?
Yeah, he's a leading scorer. He was a leading scorer for them. 20 points.
By the way, my favorite thing was one of those games. I did a column after the game, not just the 10 things. I wrote a specific column about how the Raptors used 7 different defensive schemes in one game just to stop Karis LeVert. I think it was just the Raptors flexing almost, just because they could. You know, it's not like Karis needed that many.
So LeVert was the top scorer.
Jared Allen.
You know what? It was not Jared Allen.
Really? Jared Allen didn't do it. Okay. Who was scoring for them off the bench that year? That was the time they signed Jamal Crawford, but I don't think he played that much. Was Chiozza one of those scorers? I don't think so.
Chris Chiozza was 7th.
Who else was even on that team?
So number 2 was Timothy Luau-Cabarrot.
Right. He had a big game where he hit like 5 or 6 threes or something like that.
And number 3 was Tyler Johnson.
They signed him like off the street to play in the bubble, I think.
That was a low-key fun series, man, because you remember the Raptors came off.
They had a game where they had 100 bench
150.
points.
No, so they scored 150 in game 4 to complete the sweep.
Including
and that was
100 points off the bench.
Yeah.
100.
Norman Powell had 29 off the bench. Matt Thomas hit 2 threes, had 12 points. Taron Davis, 14. Oh, my God. Serge Ibaka off the bench in 19 minutes. 27 points, 15 rebounds.
Damn.
And 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Man.
Back when we could handle Nick Claxton.
No, that was fun because the Raptors coming off, I think, 7-1 in the other portion of the bubble, right? Like the regular season portion. And then they swept the Nets. And then we don't need to talk about the second round. Because honestly, going into that second round, it looked like, man, maybe this Raptors team could repeat.
Well, turns out Chris Chiozza wasn't on the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, and tier 4 as well. Remember when the Raps and you remember this, when the Raptors and Nets played regular season games in Europe? In London.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That
was fun. Honestly, they played a couple fun games.
Triple overtime game.
Yeah.
Darren Williams was on those teams. Andrea was our star player.
And was that when we got a classic Kyle and DeMar clip? I think that's when it. That was
a different trip to London.
Okay, but
yeah.
that was fun. I thought that was fun
for
them to make that trip.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were the Atlantic teams, right? So that was the shortest flight.
Okay.
But
I mean, the teams weren't very good.
No, I think we got a split though against the Nets.
Yeah, but the teams weren't very good.
Yeah.
Tier 5, I guess. Raptors trading, attaching a draft pick or 2 to get rid of Damari Carroll to the Nets.
Yes, that's correct. And I think the Nets took Rodions Kurucs.
Drake serving drinks to Jay-Z and Beyonce courtside. This happened one time during a Raps Nets
Why was
game.
he serving them drinks?
He, like, as a joke, he brought the drinks over to them. Yeah. This is why it's tier 5.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
Tier 5.
From one growth to another.
Tier 5, spending an entire summer talking about Kevin Durant coming to Toronto.
I'm a little surprised that that's even on here, but yeah, I guess so. I thought you were gonna say the Kevin Durant. Just the Kevin Durant saying that the Raptors were his favorite childhood team. Or whatever.
Okay,
I guess he did say
we'll
that
go
when he
with
was a
that
member
too.
of the Nets, or even the fact that Gravis Vasquez and him were friends or something in high school.
Oh yeah.
Man, promising someone to bring not even promising, just believing in the idea that a high school friend would bring you Kevin Durant to your team is wild. But anyway, it's fun to dream.
Listen, it's fandom, man. You gotta believe anything.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Okay.
That's about it. And now it's time.
Oh, before that, actually.
Oh, what's up?
You missed one. One very classic Raptors Nets moment.
What did I miss?
April 26th, 2012. The Toronto Raptors beating the New Jersey Nets 98-67. Okay, the Raptors finished that season with 23 wins. The Nets finished that season with 22 wins. This was a huge tanking game. They literally had the same record coming into this game, and then the Nets out-tanked the Raptors.
Is this Ben Uzo or no?
This is Ben Uzo's triple-double, right? Which I have to read the stat line because it's funny. 6 of 19 from the field, 11 rebounds, 12 assists, 12 points, right? Plus 33 on the night. Allen Anderson, another two-time player who played on the Raptors and the Nets, right? Ed Davis had 24 points on 10 of 15 shooting, but everyone remembers this game for this very reason. Solomon Alabi, 19 rebounds. Wow. And this actually really hurt the Raptors' draft prospects that year. It forced the Raptors to go down a little bit. I think there was a chance they could have moved up to 6, which, by the way, Dame Lillard was available at 6 that year.
Oh, okay. No big deal.
Yeah. And then we got Terrence Ross.
Okay.
So, yeah, another underrated Raptors-Nets moment.
Yeah. Wow. Lots of them. And now it's time for Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. The line for tonight's game, the Raptors are -2 at home against the Brooklyn Nets. As we mentioned, the injuries, Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Boucher are going to be back.
Okay.
Scotty Barnes-Delano still questionable. Like we mentioned, no Pascal, no Precious, and others. Who do you like tonight? Raptors are favored by 2.
Yeah, this is tough. I would say the Raptors are favored by 2, mostly because they're playing at home and also because the Nets are playing the second half of back-to-back. I think for me, it's really tough to see which areas the Raptors are going to put pressure on the Nets, because aside from Fred, I think probably can get his shots off against a Nets team that feature a lot of small guards. So I'm expecting some decent offensive production from Fred. But at the same time, usually it's Pascal who really handles this matchup, and even to a lesser extent, Scotty, who handles this matchup well. I'm curious to see who they're going to put on Kevin Durant. They're probably going to triple team him, just like that's what they do.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see a lot of their shooters get open, right? So I'm feeling pretty nervous about this game. And plus the Nets are coming off a game where, last night they're playing on national television. They lose to the Sixers in a game where the Sixers didn't have most of their primary guys. I mean, the Sixers started Montrezl Harrell, DeAnthony Melton, Tobias Harris, Shake Milton, PJ Tucker, right? So no Embiid, no Tyrese, and no James Harden. And they lost. So I'm probably thinking about a comeback game for the Nets. And so, yeah, I'm feeling kind of nervous about this one. If Scotty rules himself in for the game, I'd probably lean more towards the Raptors, but I think ultimately with the information we know right now, I'd probably lean more Brooklyn's way.
Yeah, I think Raptors are a hard team to get an assessment on right now, just because, like you mentioned, of all the injuries.
Yeah.
And if not, you can take a look at the over-under as well. The line is at 222.5. I think I would take the over on that one, just because of the Nets defense. I don't trust their defense. So
they are defending better of late, though. I can't even lie. My big thing is just I want to see how Gary responds, though, to Nick Nurse's call out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If Gary comes out tonight and has a 30-piece, people forget all about that call out and people just say, what great coaching. If he doesn't, then people start to focus more on Gary. And I think that's the only negative thing is people really do focus in a little bit too much. But anyway, we've run out of time. That does it for us today. I'm your host, Willu. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review our show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks once again to producer and co-host Alex Wong, our board producer Derek Brandeo, and Frank for helping us with the YouTube stream. I'll talk to you tomorrow.